Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. A bunch of you have been recommending that I check out the Danish National Symphony Orchestra, which is intriguing to me because that's not metal or rock or even a vocal group. However, today's video, I think, will feature some vocalists. I've chosen to do The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because this looks like their breakout song on YouTube, and it features a legendary Western score by Ennio Morricone. Let's get to it. I am totally digging that they're really staying very true to the original soundtrack at this point, but it sounds like they might have switched around a couple of the orchestration pieces so that you also have this soprano, I think, doing them. Her name is Christine Nonbo Anderson, I believe, or this might be Tuva Semmingsen. I think the soprano is Christine, and there's another person named Tuva that's going to be doing some vocals. Those are the credits. So anyhow, it's really fun to see that layered in the voice right away, and also that she's crazy good at whistling. So let's go back. There also is an ocarina, which I think is also in the original score. It's just such a cool instrument. Anyhow, for those of you who love Zelda, you get where I'm coming from. Love seeing female conductors. Yes. Oh, there's a person hanging. Oh, it looks like there might be like some interesting things that happen on stage. I'm excited to see that and get to it. But I also wanted to talk briefly about one of the reasons the score was so incredible, and that is that Morricone had a very limited budget. Right? They didn't have the money for a huge orchestration. So it's interesting to me that this is something that is in a big orchestration setting now. Originally, they were relying on a bunch of like different kinds of colorful instruments, things like a jar harp or an ocarina, right? Those are things that one person could play. You don't have to play multiple session fees. And I think they had guitar in there, obviously some drums, some vocalizations, but it wasn't the massive orchestration that you would often find in other like Americanized Western films. They had these like big budget Western films that had the big orchestra, very Hollywood-esque kind of thing. And then you had this other spaghetti Western that was more stripped down, kind of gritty. And really Morricone basically set the standard for what that sounded like. And that's why this, like, the moment you hear that part, you just go like, oh my gosh, yeah, that it's a Western, because he established that sound in the first place. It's so cool. I think it's super impressive. Also so impressive that an Italian composer established this sound. You know, sometimes I think of Western as being a very American West kind of thing, and it isn't. It was an Italian composer that made that sound. Yeah, I'm going to go back just a little bit and see how this goes with the hanging guy. It's a great fall. I I love that we have these voices come in and go essentially it's like yodeling, but it also kind of sounds like an animal crying sometimes. It's super fun, and it's just so fun to hear the vocalization of these sort of grunty shouts that are deep as well. There's just so much flavors of so many flavors of different kinds of sounds in here. I'm gonna go back. Also, they're making amazing use of different timbres within the vocal tract, right? The more yodely part is really far forward. The hoofy grunts is more back. And then, of course, you have this vocalist who's really playing with different areas too to sort of emulate different kinds of instruments. I have to tell you all, I went on record recently with our patrons about why I don't like wood slaps. And one shows up here. Most of the time I don't like them. I will say that this is a very tasteful moment and it works. But most of the time when I hear a wood slap, it takes me out of the texture of a sound. But when they're used as a sort of sound effect within the frame of sound, especially within a film score, that's when it makes sense. So this is a good use of it. But most of the time, no, they're like one of my least favorite instruments on the planet. I feel like they're jarring and that they don't belong in most music. Yeah, I want to say in the original score that might have been the sound of a whip, possibly, but it has that sharp sound that also feels really organic, and so this works well for a Western themed sound. I'll keep going. Yeah. Let's take a moment and appreciate the beautiful fullness that the orchestra brings to that sound. It's so gorgeous when you have a whole orchestra playing together and you have all of these timbres that weave to make a greater whole. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love that conglomeration. I think it's so representative of humanity in general, this idea that each of these instruments have very individual sounds, but when you put them together, you get all of this color and gorgeous, well-rounded beauty, right? It's like a rainbow of sound, essentially. So iconic. Oh! Okay, I'm imagining what this looks like on the choral sheet music. What's that vowel? Ah, but make it as nasal as possible. I wonder if they have like a little subscript that says, drop your soft palate and put it in your nose, maybe. It's just such a forward and um, recognizable, unique sound. It's fun. Oh, I like the way she's shaping her mouth on that. Wow. Ooh. Beautiful. The first song was the main theme. That one is just so recognizable to me. The moment I hear that figure of the two alternating notes going back and forth, almost like yodeling really quickly, it evokes Western in my brain. It's programmed in there. That is the iconic sound of spaghetti Western music. We've now moved on to another song that's later. I don't remember the name of this one, but it's another song from later in the film. Super, super beautiful and haunting melody there right at the beginning. I'm going to go back to hear it. I love the way the reediness in the sound can cut through a orchestra. You have a very soft bed of strings, and of course, piano, which is such an interesting instrument to have it within orchestra framework. Right? A lot of orchestrations don't include a piano, but there are plenty that do. And I love hearing piano within the framework of an orchestra because it actually has that percussive element that I feel like when you're listening to a piano on its own, you're not as aware of. But with strings, a lot of times there's almost a little delay in when they're starting the sound as that creates a cushion essentially in the sound when they're down bowing. But then the piano has hammers that strike. And so instead of having that cushion, you have the striking percussiveness of the sound. It's very instant. It has a very quick attack essentially. And also, it's not sustained in the same way that a string is continually vibrating. It can have a pedal where it allows a string to continue, but there's going to be a fade on it essentially as it goes along. So when I hear piano within the framework of orchestra, I really am aware of the more percussive element of its nature. It has that sudden strike and quicker fade essentially. And then I love reed instruments are able to essentially have a certain tonality that can slice through an orchestra and carry this gorgeous, gorgeous melody. Dang breath control. Wow, wow. Yay! Oh, good. We get this like amazing soprano solo that's in here. Morricone wrote some really, really great stuff for sopranos in here. Okay. Anyhow, we're gonna get to that. But first of all, just listen to how good his breath control is. There was a tiny breath in there, I think. It's really good. That's so beautiful. Wow. Okay, so then the person we saw earlier, that was doing some vocalizations there, that must have been Tuva, I think was her name. This Christine has an incredibly haunting voice. She even adds a little folk element in it, and she's very precise with it. I think almost even more precise than the original recording. Wow. Also, notice the way that her mouth does change shape. You have the illusion that she's singing the same vowel the whole time, but she's changing shape as she's going along. It actually helps to keep more continuity in the sound as the pitch is shifting. Lovely. Hey, so right there she did a little vowel modification more towards an ah on top, which tends to be a really good vowel to modify to at that point, and even spread the mouth a little more. It helps with positioning of the vocal tract, helps again keep more continuity and alignment, just a better tone quality in the sound. I love the little breaks off of it. Or they're not even true breaks, they're just like leans and then switches. God, that is like the perfect example of how to modify a vowel, right? Well, for her voice. People sometimes will modify a little bit differently, but you can see how she's perfectly modified this to keep a nice, beautiful consistency in the tone. And really at the top, it is a beautiful, beautiful round tone quality, haunting. What a lovely voice for this moment. You might even just try that with your own voice. See if you can make that same shape. Right? It's a very slight adjustment. She has more rounded lips at first, which is very common for classical singers. And then when you get up there, often you'll see just a little bit of a tilt towards an ah right around that area. Man, it's like, she's a poster child for vowel modification right here. It was such a fun set of voices to hear together, and really, truly, Tuva is trying to sound like an instrument in the way that they're not trying to blend their voices, but rather allowing for different sounds to be complementary. I like it. Yeah. Gotta love some brass. I really love the grandiose feeling of this. The epic nature of it is just so on point. And I feel like it matches in many ways Morricone's original, like what we would have done if we'd had access to such a large number of people. I also, you can just feel the emotional excitement and build that it's making that really works for the film. And you can tell that this has such an emotionally gripping nature that it would do really well on a chart, right? Because it stayed on, I want to say it stayed on the top charts for about a year. That's such a long time for a film score. That's so cool. Anyhow, I love, love, love the emotional swells here. I'm going to go back and I want to listen to this again. Really listen for moments when you hear one thing on one side of the orchestra and then another instrument that repeats that, or when there are different layers of different sort of patterns that certain instruments will pick up. Part of the growth in it is the addition of patterns in different instruments. It's really an amazing lesson on orchestration here. Let's go back to around here. A little further. Yeah, right where it starts to build. Lots of call and response. Double of choir and brass in there. And then speeding up of this same idea. Oh, epic! That was fun. That was a great representation of the original score. I feel like it's just wonderful to see it performed with such a massive... that was a wonderful representation of the original score. And it's great to see it performed in this massive setting. It really brings to life all of the different colors of the orchestra. And boy, the vocalists were really, really good. I liked the specific sounds from tuba that were really fun. And obviously she was having fun with her singing hole, manipulating it for different sounds. And then Christine had just such gorgeous, floaty, haunting timbre. Wow, beautiful. I really love songs that feature orchestra. So if you'd like to see some more analysis of songs that feature orchestra, you can check out this playlist over here. And thank you once again for this wonderful recommendation. May you fall more in love with music every day.